Hey man, say man, we recording this one from inside the whip. And today's video is going to be about not forcing things, just being in that flow state. Whenever you're in a flow state, you know, you aren't whenever you're in a flow state, you aren't forcing things. Whenever you're in a flow state, you're kind of just going with the motions and just trusting whichever way it goes. You aren't really overcomplicating, you aren't overextending. And a lot of times, whenever it comes to creating art, whenever it comes to building relationships or connections, it's easy to want to force something. But when you come to take a greater look at it and just step outside and get a different perspective, things work better when you flow. You want your creativity to flow through you. You don't want to create whenever you're not actually in that zone to create. Because if you're forcing creativity out of you, people are going to be able to feel that whenever they're looking at your art, whenever they're listening to your art. If you're attempting to force a connection, that person is going to be able to feel that, and it is going to make them run away. Because at the end of the day, everyone is just a mirror of you. So whatever you chase is only going to run away from you. Which makes me think about the other topic I want to discuss, which is detachment. The flow state is definitely a beautiful thing, When you're in a flow state, you're in a moment of trust, You're accepting the highs and the lows, and you're just trusting. When it comes to art, you're trusting what comes out of your mouth. Whether you're a vocalist, whether you're a producer, you're trusting what your hands are doing. When you're in a relationship, you're trusting, you're surrendering. And that is exactly what the flow state is. Just being able to adapt to anything that comes your way, being able to accept and embrace whatever it is that comes your way, and also being able to face those things and see the beauty in all of it. Because there truly is beauty in everything that we experience. The times where we down bad and we on our ass, the times where we feel like we want to quit, and those times when we really high. If it wasn't for those times when we was down on our ass, we really wouldn't cherish the beautiful moments as much. So learn to take a step back and view it as it is all essential for your growth. All of it. The hard times and the beautiful times. It is all serving your evolution. I feel like detachment is one of the most important things, or at least it's been one of the biggest lessons for me, For me personally, I found myself attaching to my connections a lot, especially when it comes to the women I'm intimate with. And that simply just comes from childhood wounds or abandonment wounds, which is something I worked through, or that is something that I healed through. But at the end of the day, it's best to practice detachment, because this life is temporary. This experience is temporary. So it's best that we don't become too attached. That's why they say attachment is the root of all suffering. When you hold something to such a high bar and you feel that you can't function without it, then what happens when it leaves, You're left empty. That is why it's best to have a healthy balance between detachment and being connected, Because I'm not telling you to just not give a fuck about people. I'm not telling you fuck the world. I'm telling you to cherish the world. I'm telling you to take in the world during that moment. I'm telling you to appreciate the world during that moment. But if there is a time when that thing or that person has to leave, accept that and release them with love, Because people are not for us to keep. Things are not for us to keep. They are here for us to experience. And it is beautiful to experience. But let's not suffocate individuals. Let's not suffocate let's not become too attached to this material world. Because at the end of the day, This vessel is temporary. This is not our home. This is only a stop on the ride. And you know, we constantly going different places. We constantly traveling different places outside of this vessel. And as I said before, cherish this life, but do not become attached to the things and people that are here. Also, one thing that has been a great lesson for me, and I'm being called to speak about, is just embracing being uncomfortable, you know? Because a lot of times we can become complacent. We can think that we are doing good. In actuality, we aren't even living anywhere near our edge. You know, a lot of times we're not even, let me watch how I word this. It's easy to not live to your fullest potential, you know? It's easy to become complacent, as I said before. But sometimes you have to remove habits and things that are keeping you complacent. Because why settle for this when you could be up here? You know what I mean? Why settle for this when you could go even higher? But in order to reach those heights, it is going to take you getting uncomfortable. It is going to take you stepping into the unknown. Because it's easy to do what is comfortable. You know, it's easy to stay with people that aren't serving your best interests to avoid being alone. And being alone, that could be a tough thing, but once you learn to do it, it becomes a beautiful thing. It is easy to stay committing the same habits that are not serving your health. And that could be a lot of things. That could be overeating. That could be junk food. But imagine how much better you would be as an individual if you cut those things out. If you cut those habits out that didn't serve you. Because a lot of times we're just settling for instant gratification. But you don't want things instant. You know, as they say, let me catch my breath, y'all. As they say, man, things are better when they're cooked slow. So don't look for cheap instant gratification. When you get gratification, let it be something that was earned. Let it have love put behind it. Not some cheap ass dopamine hit like scrolling or hitting some drugs or some shit. Yo, as I was saying about trusting yourself and being in that flow state, understand that you are just a channel for God to speak through. Because God is literally in everything around you, every person, everything, every object. That is God. So whenever you are creating, you are literally channeling from source. You are literally pulling words or images down from source. And what I find is you have to learn to trust what it is that you're pulling down. Because a lot of times it's easy to get in your own way and overcomplicate what it is that you are channeling from source. But the more you paint, the more you stroke the brush, the more you put down bars, the more you produce, it becomes easier to trust source and what it is that source wants you to bring into this physical realm. So once again, trust what it is that you are being guided to create. Don't overthink it. Don't compare yourself to this creator. Don't compare yourself to that creator, because it is about what you can provide. Don't get me wrong. We are all one. We are all God. But at the same time, we are all looking through different lenses. We all have a different perception of this world. So it is best that you share that perception, because I promise you, there are other people out there that also resonate with your perception. And you are only doing a disservice by not letting your gift or not letting your talent be seen and heard, because you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be heard. So allow God to channel through you, and don't care about the opinions of others, you know. Do not care about critics, because most of the time people who are criticizing you, they weren't even doing anything. You know, it's just them projecting onto you. It's just them putting their hurt onto you. So when you create the art that feels good to you. And when you create that art, the audience that is supposed to find you, they will find you. I promise you. Just keep creating what feels good to you and keep putting it out. I don't care if it's something that doesn't sound like what the rest of the world has. That's what's going to make it beautiful. That's what's going to make it stand out when you are in the lane of your own. And by no means am I saying you're just going to sound completely different. Because in my opinion, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything we listen to, everything we consume, it has all been done. It is just a bunch of different arts combined, you know, at this point. So find what it is that you love. Find what it is that you love to create, and you pour that out into the world. That is your mission, to do what you love to do and do not care about the opinions of others. I'm gonna wrap it up right there, man. Y'all have a beautiful day. And if you tuned in, thank you. Keep spreading love. Keep spreading peace. Just a youngin' from the east of Texas. Now, baby, get on top and ride me like a Lexus. I'm about to tap into that solar plexus. Yeses.